Omehani Merchant. She has lots of experience, more than 3+ experience in L&T. Currently, she's working with Aditya Birla, but prior to that, she's worked with Tata Steel. Prior to that, she's worked with L&T. So she's the best person for you all to guide on what the company is about, what are the type of roles that are there, what is the type of growth, what is the type of work culture that is there. Uh, so whatever doubts that you can write it down. We'll take all those doubts towards the end, but first we'll have the session by Umehani. She'll deliver you a session on what the company is about, what are the type of roles. If you have any doubts with regards to roles, you can ask that. She'll also cover how to prepare specifically for interview at L&T, right? So Umehani, you can start by giving a short introduction, and
Sure,
then
sure.
a bit about the company, and then how to prepare for the interviews.
Thank you, Umang, for your kind words. And yeah, so I started my career with L&T. I joined L&T through campus, like many of you have been shortlisted, giving those physical tests, written test, and then the interview. And then later I worked over there for around 3.5 years. L&T has a lot many opportunities in that we have a policy of internal transfer after 2 years. So luckily I got to work in two different roles in my tenure at L&T. Then I later on moved to Tata Steel. Over there, I was there for 1 year or so. And now currently I'm working with Aditya Birla for the past 2 years in Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail. And that is like a short introduction about myself. And I'm born and brought up in Nasik. And yeah, I've been working in Mumbai for the past 6 years. So like now if you everyone are okay, so let's continue with what all preparations are needed and how to start with like L&T. So L&T has a policy of starting having a written test where they will shortlist around 60 to 70 people, 60 to 70% in that. So if around 100 people are shortlisted, they will have that test, and then from that they will take around 60 to 70 people who will be further interviewed for different roles. Now, this written test which is there, it is basically nothing but a logical reasoning. There is no like something which you need to prepare on. It's simple. The questions which are there in the CAT exam mainly something related to permutation combination, or they will give you four images, and then what would be the fifth image like, or they might give you a number series and then they would say what would be the next number which can come up, those
In
kind of.
case you want to practice, sorry to interrupt you, Umihani, but just in case if you want to practice something like this, we have a free aptitude test on our CMON portal. What you can do is you can just go to that, practice it. It'll be a good refresher for you before the test, right? Over to you, Umihani.
Yeah, that's a very good thing which we have. And that would be like around, I think so, half an hour time or 15 minutes time, and that you have to solve that. When I had joined, that time we had half an hour test. In that we had around 60 questions or so, and 60 or I think the 30 questions, 1 minute per question. And in that time frame we had to solve. So if you have prepared for it, it would be always better. And so that would be really helpful if you could just go through those test papers. The second thing which L&T is different from other companies, it's a construction company. So the Ind AS which are applicable for a construction company are totally different from what it is there in the normal retail companies or manufacturing companies. So I would always suggest people to or the candidates that they should always go for Ind AS which are applicable for construction companies. Depreciation policies are different in this kind of companies. So the first thing one a candidate can do is start by going through the annual reports. So in annual reports, there are different sections. Now we can't read a 300 pages annual report. So the one important thing is the MDA, which is management discussion and analysis. Now, if anyone wants to know about any particular company, irrespective of L&T, MDA is a document which tells you what business the company is into. The second important thing which I think that people should always study is the financials of the company. It will tell you what kind of revenue streams are there and how this company is functioning. What are the factors which are generating profit for the company? Coming to back to the L&T, L&T again is a conglomerate company. So not only it's into a particular business, it's into very different kind of businesses, right from IT to realty to technology to financial services. And to apart from that, it's mainly into construction, which is like around 60 to 70% of the revenue is from the construction. Even in construction, it is into hydrocarbons, heavy civil, defense. So these are the different, like around 10 different, I think so now they have combined to Mindtree and LTI, but they are into 10 different sectors. So MD is a document which will definitely help you to, go through all of this and give you a better clarity on the companies. So the first thing which they will see is how much knowledge you have about the company and which are the indices which are applicable to these companies. The second important thing is whenever any of the investor or maybe any of the any outsider wants to know about the Indian construction sector, they will always prefer L&T. So that way, you should also have not only the company's knowledge but also the sector knowledge, how the construction companies are doing overall in general in India, because that is another thing which they will check, is that how much updated you are about a particular company in which you want to go or the sector in which you want to go. So that is another important thing which you should. So you can prepare is like you can go on Google search and put Larsen and Toubro, and then over there's an option last 1 month news. So just select the filter last 1 month. So any important updates, which contracts L&T has bagged in last 1 month, or are there any contracts which L&T is going to take. So that way you can always prepare, and that would be an additional advantage to like how you can come out of a group. That way it will be helpful for you people. Then the another important thing which I feel is in now in L&T, another thing which they see is the how the people are presenting themselves, that like the confidence is very important. I have seen, like when I had come from Nasik, and it's a very small town. And coming to Mumbai, and I had seen all the contestants around me, and they were so professionally dressed, all of them looking. But what happened is that they see how you present yourself, the confidence. Even if you are, a very simple person, your English is not very great. That is fine. What you should show is how confident you are to take that particular role. So this is another thing which I feel that L&T has considered that also while selecting the candidates. And like this confidence is required not only for L&T, but I think it's there for each and every company, because you will not know what role you will be doing. They cannot judge you on how you will evaluate the financial statements or what control you will bring into the system. What they will see is how your ability to learn new things and how confidently you are able to take up new things. So that is another important thing which I feel one should prepare for while going for the interview in L&T. Apart from that, yeah, they will test your ratio analysis is something which they will test. Now coming to how different L&T is, like I was telling you about the construction companies. Now in this, there are 5 important parameters which L&T monitors. One is, means you can note it down. One is the order inflow, order book, revenue. I'll explain each of them. PAT and free cash flows. These are the 5 important things. PAT or EBITDA margin, either of them they monitor. Now, what is an order inflow? Whenever these construction companies they get an order, it's like from the government or maybe a road order or maybe a building of a stadium or something like that. They get an order of around 5,000 crores, 6,000 crores. So that is the order inflows which they look into. Now, this order inflows, I know it's a bit technical and difficult to grasp as an starting point, but these are the 5 important things which L&T monitors. And if you know what this order inflows, order book, and revenue is, it will definitely, be helpful to you guys. Now, whenever L&T gets an order, they can't accomplish it in a particular year itself. Like if you are into a manufacturing company, you manufacture a product and that product is with you in the inventory. Then you sell off that product and it becomes the sales and you recognize the revenue. But for L&T, it's always the percentage completion which you do for a particular project. So whenever you get an order, it does not mean that you will start it in that particular year only, or will it be taken to the next year. Maybe it could be a 5 year order or 6 years order. So all that is accumulated in an order book. So the concept of order book and order inflow is very specific to L&T or maybe the construction companies. So that way, we need to be aware about what would differentiate a normal company and a construction company. So order book and order inflow. Revenue is the same, which we recognize on a percentage completion basis. EBITDA is again, EBITDA percentage is something which they monitor. It is nothing but earnings before interest, tax, and depreciation divided by the revenue. The third is the and the last one is the free cash flow. Now we need to understand a thing that when it comes to a retail company, it's always whenever you sell something, you always get the cash there in that moment itself. But for a construction company, when you recognize the revenue, it does not mean that you're getting paid for it. So the free cash flows is the important thing which all the construction companies monitor. So that is how it makes it different from other companies, and it's a very important parameter. Sometimes in an interview, they can ask you a question that what are the important things which an L&T needs to monitor, or what are the specific parameters which L&T might need to take into consideration. So these are the few five things out of five. Even if you remember two or three things, it will always give you an added advantage over other candidates. So that is all about L&T. And yeah, if the questions keep on coming, I can answer one by one, and then we can have a conversation like that.
Got it. So any of you have any doubts, right, with regards to this, you can ask, put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask the question. People connected from YouTube, you can type in the chat. We'll pick up the questions from there. There's one question. Ma'am, I was shortlisted in big center in L&T. I cleared test, gave interview, but didn't clear. I've also been shortlisted again in L&T small center. Can I give interview again?
I think so. They have a limit of like 6 months that when you once apply for an interview, you cannot give another interview immediately within the 6 months. I'm not sure about the exact rules, because if the written test is
Got
only someone is not appeared for the interview, then what would be the exact rules? But I think so that HR would be a better person to tell you about it.
But I think if you've been shortlisted, I think they're aware, right? Since you've been
हाँ
rejected,
ये
there also onus is on the
उन्होंने ही
company to
शॉर्ट लिस्ट किया है
filter
सर।
out. Sorry.
मैंने देखा वही कॉर्पोरेट पॉलिसी है कि 6 मंथ, पर उन्होंने ही शॉर्ट लिस्ट किया है।
So then
ऐसा
you can
लिखा है कि
go ahead and give.
हाँ
Na, you can go ahead and give. That's fine.
हाँ। और सर उसमें से प्रिपेयर कैसे करूँ? पहले मेरा 20 मिनट्स का इंटरव्यू था, 8 मिनट में ही खत्म कर दिया था। साउथ का बंदा आया था, डीप फैट्रिक करके था, बहुत फ्रिक्वेंट इंग्लिश बोल रहा था सर।
So how good is your communication skills? आपकी
सर
communication skills?
Sir, they are my time. Interview time is the 10:40. They call me to key connect right now, and they are coming in 10:35. And interview has been completed in 10:43. 8 मिनट का था सिर्फ। सर वही पूछा कि किस में जाना है, इंटरनल ऑडिट बोला और P2P प्रोसेस बोला, और बोल दिया कि वी विल यू बैक। फिर आए नहीं सर कभी।
Okay.
तो
So
इंटरव्यू तो
did you check with the HR? So sometimes what happens now is that these people in the initial, like they have so many candidates with them, so they arrange their time accordingly. Like they might give you a time at 10:40, but then they might just start at 10:35 whenever they get free. I know it's a bit difficult to, when you are in an interview kind of environment and immediately someone tells you to pick up the call and answer the questions. But I think so you should just wait and see if they can get back to you on that.
मेरे आगे वाले का हो गया है, मेरा इसलिए नहीं हुआ पता नहीं। जो पैनल थी ना उसमें 12 लोग थे, उसमें
Okay.
मेरे एग्जैक्ट जो आगे लड़की थी उसका हो गया, इसलिए उसका लेट चला। उसका आगे वाले का भी फटाफट हो गया, उसका लेट चला। फिर मेरा जल्दी हो गया। 3 लोग हम साथ में थे, उसमें एक का हो गया। फिर
That's
मेरा
fine.
मेरा हाँ
ठीक है,
मेरा
कोई
आया,
बात नहीं। आप अभी
तो फिर
अभी
मेरा नहीं हुआ
जो
ऐसा
आपका
सर।
भी स्मॉल कैंपस में शॉर्टलिस्ट आया ना, उसमें आप दे सकते हो.
ओके सर।
Yeah, it might give you an added advantage, like they already know you. So then,
हाँ.
हाँ मैंने हाँ एग्जाम भी क्लियर कर दिया था, इंटरव्यू भी सही गया था। इंटरनल ऑडिट का ही पूछा था, P2P प्रोसेस, और कुछ पूछा भी नहीं था।
yeah.
Mhm.
So how they have they have shortlisted you for the small campus. What is that I understand from the conversation. So that's the reason, because that interview went well and now they still have that opening. They said that they might consider you, and I've
Mhm.
given you the opportunity to give an interview. So that's a
ओके
good. You can
ओके
always get that interview because now the company is responsible for it. So 6 months
ओके
apply, I guess.
Hmm.
ओके।
There's one question in the chat. What can we explain about unbilled revenue in a construction company?
Unbilled revenue in a construction company. So now unbilled revenue is like again this percentage completion method which is there na? In that certain portion of the work which is already done, but it is we can't build it to the contractor because of the percentage completion. So that's that unbilled revenue which gets accumulated, and that is what I was trying to explain you, that the because of because it's a construction company, there will all, you know cash flow shortage because of this unbilled revenue, because you have to do the work, but you can't bill it at that point of time to the person, like who, like, it could be a government or it could be any other corporate or any other company. So that is that unbilled revenue which is there.
Okay, there's one more question, guys. Please write down important points from this interview, right? So that your time is saved again. But I mean, by not watching it. So just write down important points. There's one doubt, ma'am. Please repeat those 5 points so that I can write down. So,
Yeah,
anyways, this if you've missed, if you've not written, this video interview will be available on YouTube. You can watch it there. Otherwise, Umehani will repeat. Just you can just give all the points that were there.
I'll just again repeat it. First is the order inflow. It's the order which the company bags from different contractors. It could be government, it could be corporates. The second is the revenue. Revenue is as simple as what is recognized in the books of accounts. The third is the order book. Order book is nothing but the accumulated order inflows which a company gets years, and its order book is always an as on date figure. It is never for the period, it is always as on date. The fourth parameter which a company monitors is the EBITDA percentage or the PAT. EBITDA is earnings before interest, tax and depreciation, and or the PAT. And the fifth one is free cash flows. Being a construction company, it is always needs to monitor its cash flow. So it's the free cash flow which they monitor it on a monthly basis or maybe sometimes on a fortnightly basis. Yeah.
Great. How can we apply at L&T off campus?
Uh, it's like difficult to apply in off campus in LNT, but yeah, through references it can be. I've always told the candidates that yeah, you can send me your resume. I'll try to at least pass it on to the HR, and they might, depending on the opening, get it shortlisted for them. But I'm not very, because such companies, what I feel na, LNT or maybe this Aditya Birla Capital, they pick up through campus only. So that way they take around like 40-50 candidates at one time, and they fill in all the vacancies, like whatever the freshers vacancies are there, that are filled through campus only. But yeah, nevertheless we can always try.
Correct. You can keep trying. Maybe you can send your resume to the HR, the recruiting HR, right? You might be able to find them out through LinkedIn. There's one more question again, ma'am. Which role to be preferred? Because question based only on only that. I mean, it's Umehani. Anything on that? Which domain should be preferred? Something like that.
Domain to be preferred. See, I always think that one should join the corporate L&T. Now there will be openings for many different businesses of L&T. It could be for a hydrocarbon business. It could be for a heavy civil business, defense business. But there will be openings if you get an opportunity that to select among different domains. You should go for something which is there at the corporate level. So if you're into a corporate level, it will give you idea of the whole group, what is happening across all group. But what I understand from L&T, they don't give you so many options like whether you want to take a this profile or that profile. But if given an option, you can always choose an FP&A kind of profile if you want to go into that field at a group level. Don't go for a particular business. That is what I feel. There will be openings for LTTS, there will be openings for LTI Mindtree, LTFS. But if given a choice, go for L&T as a group. That would be helpful.
Okay. Okay. Great. There's one question. How to prepare for uh, how to prepare for financial role and MIS reporting.
Yeah. So MIS and FP&A kind of roles. Now we need to understand this activities are monthly activities which take place. And what they do is like as the role says, FP&A, financial analysis and planning. They analyze what has already happened, the performance of the company, and they plan the performance of the company. The role itself is the name. So these people who are there into MIS or FP&A, they do the budgeting, then they take the budgeted numbers, and then they do the forecasting, like how will the numbers look in the future. So what kind of skills will be required for this? This will require majorly analytical skills. Like you have to analyze the performance of the different company, or if it's like an LNG, there are many different segments which are there. So for each segment, we have to analyze the performance. Variance analysis is one of the very important things which a person in MIS will does. So now, what you need to prepare on if they ask you a question that what would you do if you join the role? So variance analysis. Now, if it's a revenue for which you are doing a variance analysis, so why we increased or decreased compared to budget? There will be expected set of numbers which we have forecasted for the next year or maybe for the next 6 months. So why we have not performed up to the mark, or why have we overperformed? What all factors are there? So all these things will come in an FP&A role or MIS role. So that way you need to prepare. So for example, you can take any other expense also. So these people have an expense of what we can say is maybe manpower cost, why it has increased, why it has reduced, employee benefit. So that way all those, see, once what you can do, you can look at the financial statements and just prepare the points. If the revenue has increased, what could be the reason? If it could be something like that we have completed a larger portion than expected. Sometimes it could be why we have not performed in a particular segment at the revenue level. There could be a possibility of strike, because in such companies, if there's a labor strike or something like that, the whole performance of the company gets impacted. The work is not done and you cannot recognize the revenue. So that way there could be few reasons which are here and there. They might ask you, "Ki just tell us one or two reason why would there be an overperformance or underperformance." Majorly on revenue and EBITDA only they will ask. They will not go into expenses as far as I know, because it is not expected from any outsider to know the reasons why they have done well or they have done well in the expenses or savings are there.
Correct. There's one question: is finance role in FP&A same or is it different?
Now, so in finance, there are two kinds of role. One is finance controllership and one is an FP&A. And the finance controllership role is the someone who prepares the books of accounts, like who closes the books of accounts. What would be the journal entries? How we can close it? What would be the balances 31st March? We will look into the provisions, whether we have made adequate provisions. The depreciation is properly provided. So that is the role which is of a finance controllership role or financial reporting role. There are two names for this. Another role is FP&A. Once the function of the finance controller or finance professional ends, FR reporting personnel, then the role of FP&A person starts. Because once the books are closed, then only we can analyze the performance of the company. So that way, there are two separate roles. Finance as such is not a role. Now, there could be something which is like a corporate finance, which looks into the investments of the company or working capital requirements or capex requirements. That is again another separate role which is there into a specific finance domain.
Got it. There's one question by Himanshu. They've given many roles like accounts payable, treasury, MIS. How to prepare for those roles specifically?
Accounts payable role, and the other one was MI.
Treasury, MIS. There are other multiple roles also that they've given. So how to
Okay.
prepare for them?
So, if it's like an LNG, they will definitely teach you, because in this company, each and every role is done in a different manner, in a separate way. So, what they could ask you is the basic knowledge about how much you know about, accounts payable, what could be the provisions you need to make, or something like that related to that field. If it comes to MIS kind of thing, then they will ask you this variance analysis, something which you can tell, budgeting, forecasting, that all points you can say. So for different roles, there will be a different set of activities which will be done in LNT, and then they might expect only the basic level out of it, not exactly how that work needs to be done.
But anyway, the general preparation for the company needs to be the research about the company, right? Irrespective of the role that you're applying, that you're being interviewed for, you have to do some research about the company, as had been mentioned in the previous part of the interview.
Right, right. That is very important thing.
Yeah. What is the level of psychometric test? What should we prepare for this? As I said, I have put in the chat a free aptitude test that is there on our portal, CMONG portal. You can go and register for that. It would be similar, I think so. Otherwise, Umani, you want to add something on this?
Yeah, so that's I have actually not gone through the test which was there in the portal.
Yeah, yeah.
I think so. It's not very difficult kind of question. Like, see, if you prepare and if you keep on practicing the tests which are already there, you will be able to solve it in a 45 second instead of, if you just sit on that, it might take you 2 minutes. So it's not that something where you cannot get the solution. It's just that it will take more time if you have not practiced it well. So I think so. Like Umang mentioned, it's always better to have practice those, and then you can solve it a little more quicker.
Is psychometric test same as aptitude test?
I'll go through it and then I'll revert on it. But as I understand, it will not be like I'm telling. It's not a rocket science. It's just the basic LR which done and known, and for this competitive exams which we prepare MBA or CAT exams, that kind of LR is nothing difficult.
What work can I expect in tax domain?
Okay, like it's a difficult question to answer because I am not basically into a taxation person. But yeah, what I understand is that what the initial conversations which I had with my colleagues, these people have lot many scrutinies also, LNT. So if you are into a direct tax domain, there will be time where you have to handle the scrutinies, or you might be accompanying your manager for those, or you have to prepare those documents which are required apart from the normal day-to-day taxation things which they might be looking into. But I don't think so I will be able to add much to this.
Got it. Any other questions, guys? You can put in the chat. Can we switch into a different domain?
Yeah. So now this LNT as a very good policy. Like if you stay for the with the company for like around 2+ years, they will always transfer you to a different domain, or different sectors where because after 2 years, how interesting the work is, it always gets boring after some point of time, and then you're good at. They will always tell you, okay, now you have learned this. You can always try this role also. So, like, I think so it's possible in LNT, but it's just that you have to give it some time. Maybe it's like minimum after 2 years, but then it could be like after 3 years also. So, yeah, but like I think so in LNT they take such requests. Not only in LNT, in all the big groups, I think so. Transfer policies are there after 2 years where you can transfer from some one domain to another domain.
Got it. There was one question earlier
Mm-hmm.
uh, which asked something about the leaves. Is there any issue in the leave? Do you see that secondary? आप पहले select हो जाओ ये सारी चीजें. Leave is secondary. I think वो अगर genuine reason है तो शायद लोग दे ही देते हैं. मतलब I think so. Uh,
Leaves are very person specific, manager specific, and it has nothing to do with the companies. All the companies have abundant leaves जो हम कभी complete ही नहीं कर पाते, but it's always on the manager.
Correct. It's very manager specific, sector specific. किस role में आप काम कर रहे हो? Great. Harsh, your question is not very clear. Earlier, I chose internal audit, but I think not vacancy in that role. What will be chosen for interview? I understanding was general thing of LNT news buyback AGM, but they asked which role to prefer specifically. He's asking, from what I assume, he's asking which role to prefer to improve selection chances.
Okay. So this is like I actually have no idea about what vacancies they have in different kind of roles. But I feel what you have done in your articleship, if you plan to go into that domain, that would be an added advantage. Like I had not done much of taxation in my articleship. I had mostly, prepared project reports for the banks and all that kind of different. So I don't know, like that. Maybe that was the reason I did not get selected for audit or taxation. But
Mhm.
it's I actually don't have any specific answer for that.
Got it. There's one question from Anshu. I've audited one of construction company. What questions can I expect from that?
Okay, so it's a very good thing you should highlight on your resume. I feel because L&T takes someone who has done audit of a construction companies. Now, if you have already done an audit of a construction company, they might deep dive into it. Like they might ask you this specific questions. Now, for you, it's important to know the sector because you have already worked in that sector. What could be the different revenue streams or maybe different expenses which that company specific are there. So that way, I think so. They might ask you on that. They might ask you on the indices also of the construction company. They might, little bit deep dive into it.
Got it. There is one question from YouTube. Uh, there are many roles that are being offered. Does it mean that we have to prepare for all of these roles?
No, no, no. It will. So I am not sure that when you are getting shortlisted, how they take you. They give shortlist you for a particular role, or they shortlist you randomly. Because like 5 years back or 6 years back, we did not even have this JDs. Now nowadays, these companies are sharing their job description. It was just going for an interview for a CA kind of a role. It could be audit, taxation, FP, and any of it. So I am not sure. Like, are they sharing you the details of the roles?
You can type in the chat. Have you been given to choose a domain? There is shortlisted, no JDs there, only roles and locations. So when do you have to choose a preferred domain? Is it after the interview or before the interview? I guess during the interview.
Interview. Okay. So so it will be like they might just ask you if you are comfortable with a particular location or not. The first thing is that, and then they might ask you about the different rules which are there. But there will not be any case where you have not done taxation and they are telling you to okay you can go for taxation also, or you have not done audit and they might just tell you okay you go for audit role also. It will be they will evaluate on the basis of their understanding and then they might offer you like when I was there, I was offered two roles. One was financial reporting and one was FP&A role.
That was
I
after the interview.
that time because there were no concept like CA Monk or any of them who were guiding us that time. So I just by I said okay, whichever suits you, and then I got an FP&A role. So that way it was.
You were offered the role after the interview, right?
Yeah, after the interview, like they said, okay, now you tell us which role you want to go into. Both were based out of Mumbai only. So I said, okay, whichever goes, that's fine. They told me a JD in a line or so, but that time don't even understand what it is.
Mhm. Got it. Got it. Any other questions, guys? You can put in the chat. Otherwise, we'll move towards the conclusion. Great. It seems like you're all set for the interview. Umehani, any final points, any summarizations, just 30 seconds or something, and then we'll conclude.
Yeah. So one thing, like I told in the beginning of the session also, this India is related to construction companies. They definitely ask you on those. I think so. One should be prepared on that. And guys, keep yourself updated for whichever company you are going into. Not only L&T, but nowadays it's not just about what you have read in the like in your during your exams or during your curriculum, but they want to see how much updated you are about the current affairs. So at least for that particular sector or for that particular domain. So I would request you all that at least have that kind of knowledge and be confident. So language is never an issue for anyone. You can always ask so it is always preferable to answer in English. But if you want to make some point where you think that I don't remember that particular name or that particular word in English, just put it in Hindi and say sorry, I don't know, or something like that, but don't let your thoughts stop because of a language. I've seen many of the candidates while I was having one-to-one interaction. They were saying, "Ma'am, are we good with English? Are our communication skills fine?" I said, "It's okay." Even I had no idea. मैं तो इतना भी अच्छी नहीं थी when I had come to Mumbai. I was speaking English, which is the normal day to day. We had a Marathi speaking firm, CA firm where I was working. So I had no idea how these professionals or corporates work. So it's
Mm.
so just be confident, just portray how much you know, as a professional, not someone like, you have to boast something. And there's another important thing which I always tell: you have to advertise yourself, but you can't be boasting about yourself. You should always highlight the points which you are good at, and just make sure that you highlight it in a proper, ethical and a professional manner. Instead, it should not be sounding as if you're boasting about yourself. And L&T is like a good company to work with and to start your career, a very reputed organization. And even if afterwards you choose decide to move on to different companies, it will always be an added advantage to have L&T in your CV. That is, I can assure you. Like, in the last 3 years, I've got so many calls just because I think so L&T was there in my resume.
Great.
So this opportunity, I would say.
Great, great. Umayani, one final question. Do attempts matter? There's one consistent question that is being asked.
Okay, I just missed to tell you, in L&T, when I was there, attempts used to matter. They just take the first attempt one and they don't consider the second attempt. But right now, I'm not sure about the policy. But for the campus, they don't consider second attempt. It should be first attempt only. So if you have been shortlisted,
That's fine.
please go, means it's like they're okay with it. That's the reason they've shortlisted you. Because there could be many of the reasons that a person could not clear in the first attempt. So I think so you should go with that mindset only, a positive mindset. But yeah, I think so they have that kind of a policy.
Got it. And one last question. Will they be asking indirect tax litigation portions or basic?
Indirect tax litigation. Okay, it's something which I have not heard about it. But yeah, if it's an indirect tax domain or the role is there, they might definitely ask you, because nowadays there are scrutinies in indirect taxation also. So keep yourself updated with the latest, tax which are.
I think you should prepare for that, for the litigations part also. It's no harm.
Yeah, and all these amendments in taxation, I think so the amendments are something they used to ask in exam also. Amendments pay questions where there's. So in interview also they will definitely ask you on amendments and litigations.
Got it. Got it. Great. Yeah, it was a wonderful session. Umehani, thanks a lot for your time, for your guidance to these students, and wish everyone all the best for all those who are appearing for LNT interview. Thanks a lot, Umehani. It was a pleasure to host you.
You all the best, and do let me know. I think so most of them have my number. Just in case of any doubt, you can contact and let me know. Sure.
Great. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.